The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Catalyst webinar series presented by the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. I want to welcome everybody to the Catalyst webinar series this morning. The Catalyst webinar series is a bi-weekly educational platform for creating success and change in your club and career. This morning, I want to welcome Zeb Welborn. He is the owner of 19th Hole Media. It's a social media marketing for golf courses. Zeb is also an author of The Social Golf Course. He's currently the president of the Chino Rotary Club. He's a past chairman of the board for the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. He's on the membership committee for the California, he's an advisory committee member for the California Golf Course Owners Association. And he's also the organizer for the Southern California Charity Golf Classic. Mr. Welborn, thank you for joining us this morning. Welcome to the Catalyst webinar series.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. Really appreciate it. Should I dive in?
Yes, indeed. It is all yours.
All right. Thanks. So thank you all for coming to listen to this today. Today I'm going to be talking about The Social Golf Course, which is the book that I wrote. So what I'm really going to do is break each chapter down and kind of give you the little bits and pieces about how to drive and increase rounds with social media and how to do it effectively. So to start with that, one of the things that I wanted to say was that sorry, hold on one second. So when we're talking about the social golf course is what makes up a social golf course. And the way that we've kind of explained it is that social media has brought about this age where it's a lot different than what it was about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, where you got your information from was really mass media and the messages that they're broadcasting out there. So there's really only a select few people that control the message. Whereas today, with Yelp as an example, is that people can go on and leave Yelp reviews, and those reviews affect your business. Whereas in before, that wasn't available to most people. So what really makes a social golf course, you have to have a social product. And so one of the things about the social golf courses in general is that they're just social in nature. The pictures that you take, they're stunning, beautiful pictures in the outside world, and that's something that plays really, really well on social media. The next thing you need to have when you're talking about the social golf course is you really need to have exceptional customer service. And so the two go hand in hand. And when I'm talking with golf courses and when I'm talking with any business, really, when it comes to doing social media, social media is only as effective as how good your business is. If you have a terrible business and you use social media, it's not going to benefit you nearly as much as if you have a really fine-tuned business that takes customer service seriously, that does a great job treating their customers. That's really where you'll see the power of social media, and you'll see the impact that it has to drive rounds and revenue. And then, so if you add those two things together, you will get what we call the social golf course. And when you throw social media into the mix, really what social media is it's documenting all of the great things that you're doing at your golf course. And so if you're looking at social media, it's really about what's happening at your course. I see a lot of social media pages from a lot of different outlets or people that say that they do social media for golf courses. And really what they're promoting is they're promoting what's happening on the PGA, or they're taking some holiday and saying that's, like there's the Masters is coming up or something like that. And that's the stuff that they're putting out there to the world. And that's the stuff that just isn't, it's not why people follow you on social media. The reason why people follow you on social media is because they want to find out what's actually happening at your golf course. And that's really where, when I say what the social golf course is it's letting people know what is happening at your golf course and how to use your golf course more effectively and using your social media more effectively. So let me talk briefly a little bit about myself, and just so that you have my background and where I'm coming from. I actually worked, so when I was 17, I worked at Los Serranos Country Club in the cart barn. I moved my way up to the pro shop, and then I was going to college at the time, so I got a career as a teacher. So I was a history teacher for 4 years, and then I decided teaching wasn't for me, so I left teaching, and I kind of traveled the country for a while, and I came back home and started my own tutoring business. So that's how I got involved in business. And when I started the tutoring business, I started learning about how to use the internet to drive customers to my tutoring business, and that's really how I got started. So I went back to the golf course that I worked at as a kid, and I kind of explained to them. I said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing in my business when it comes to social media marketing. I think I could really help you out." And so they hired me. So Los Serranos was my first golf course customer, and we did the social media for them for a couple of years. They won the 2012 California Golf Course of the Year, and we're a finalist for the National Golf Course of the Year. So it was a very big success story for us in terms of what we were able to kind of get the word out about Los Serranos to the golfing world and community. So that was great. And then in 2013, they brought in a new management company or new group, and they let us go. And what I really did was I saw all that we had accomplished for this golf course, and it was just mind blowing to me about how impactful it was in terms of driving new business to the golf course. So I really wanted to tell that story. And so I got inspired to write the social golf course. And really what I did was I took my experience at Los Serranos and a couple of other courses that I had acquired at the time and really put all of the impact that the social media world had into this book. Because one of the problems that I faced when I was early on, especially when I was talking with golf course general managers and owners of golf courses, was they didn't see the value in social media. They said, "Zeb, I understand that kids are using it, and it's not for old people. It's not for our demographic, and so that's why we're not doing it." And based on the results that I was delivering, it was like kind of like a no-brainer for me to kind of pitch that. And so that's really where my passion for using social media to drive golf came from. It just came from recognizing the immense potential that this has to drive rounds revenue to golf courses. And so with that, what I wanted to do was, so each of these kind of slides represents a chapter in our book. And so one chapter in our book is called the St. Andrews Model. And the St. Andrews Model talks about the comparisons between Prestwick and St. Andrews. And so there's a book that was written about the comparisons between the two courses. And when we think of the home of golf, we think of the home of golf as St. Andrews. But really, the Open, the first professional golf tournament, was held at Prestwick, and I think it was held there for 11 or 12 years. And so they had a tournament there. But why, when we think of the home of golf, why do we think of St. Andrews? And in the book, what it was kind of arguing was that the reason why St. Andrews is the home of golf is because the people of St. Andrews marketed it that way. They took it upon themselves to grow and promote the game and be ambassadors of the game. And when they're comparing, so there's all this, if you go to St. Andrews, there's all this history, and it has all these plaques and these things that really promote the course and promote golf. And at Prestwick, there's some of that, but it's not nearly to the scale of St. Andrews. And so the point of the chapter was really that we have the ability to influence human behavior. And it's never been more so than today in a world of social media. Because in social media, you can get your message out to a lot of people, and you can do it yourself. The problem is that most people don't take advantage of that. Most golf courses don't take advantage of that. And you see the big companies that are rising out of that are rising out of nowhere today. They're all taking social strategies, and they're using those social strategies to drive business. And that's really where social media comes in, but it looks different than what it did before. So with that, let me pull you into the mulligan side of this. So one of the issues when I am talking with people in the golf industry is there's always this this issue with tee time wholesalers and how they're kind of I don't want to say holding the golf industry hostage, but that's what I hear from a lot of people. So that's the terminology that I'll use. So what ended up happening was 10, 15 years ago, when tee time bookings came out, is most golf course owners and general managers didn't really take that wave seriously. It could have been very easy for golf courses to start their own web portals, to start their own tee time booking engines, to do that, but they didn't. And so they gave it up to these third time tee time wholesalers. And really, that's kind of the wormhole that you got into. And what social media allows is it allows for this mulligan. But just like that 10, 15 years ago, where it was kind of like a different world, where the tee time booking thing, it wasn't something that people thought other people were going to use, and so they didn't follow that avenue. It's the same thing in social media. A lot of golf courses I'm talking with, they say, yeah, well, does it really drive rounds? Does it really drive net revenue? Absolutely it does. I mean, it influences human behavior more than anything in the history of mankind. And so it's really important for golf courses in particular, if they want to maintain that autonomy and they want to be able to grow organically, and they don't want to be able to just compete on price and price alone, you really have to have a social media presence so that you can tell your story. and you can get people invested in you and your golf course and get them to play more often. And that's why people chose golf courses in the past, is because they had that that connection, that bond, that storytelling vibe to these golf courses. And that's kind of gone away because golfers are looking for the cheapest discounted rounds, but it's also because golf courses kind of set themselves up that way. And so social media provides an opportunity where we can get a mulligan and do it over and hit the reset button. So, you could probably tell that I'm pretty passionate about social media and how it's changing our economy. As a history teacher, one of the things that I really recognized was the immense power of social media to affect change. And so it's changing our economy more so than anything in the history of the world. We have, just as an example, one of the things that when I was a teacher, one of the videos that I used to show my class, it was the top 100 people who influenced the world, who changed the world. And they did it for the millennium. So it's from the year 1000 to 2000. And the number one guy in that list was a guy by the name of Johann Gutenberg. And he wrote the Gutenberg Bible. And he printed the Gutenberg Bible. So he did it on a printing press. And I think it took 12 people 3 years to print something like 40 copies. And he was the most prominent person of the millennium. And it's because he was able to spread information quicker than it had ever been spread before. And with social, and so that was 3 years to print 40 copies. This social media age, we can get information in an instant. We can see, like you guys right now, we're watching this live kind of webinar, and you're getting it instantaneously, and you have the ability to learn and grow and change as a result of the things that you're learning. And so every human on earth has access to that, whereas it was only a few people who had access to these teachings and learnings through written books, and today everybody has access to that information. So it means that our economy is going to be changing extremely fast in the upcoming years, and social media is going to be the catalyst for that. So golf courses, if you're absent from that, what's going to happen is you're going to lose. You're going to lose to somebody who is on those platforms. And that's one of the arguments that I make is that you have a lot, like soccer as an example, they're extremely proactive in the social channels and driving people and getting young people playing the game. And those are the types of industries that are going to win, is because they're very active in those arenas. And let me just make sure I'm not missing anything here. Yeah, so you have this, so like mass, yeah, so there's this age of mass media where a individual person was controlling the message, and that's no longer the case anymore. And it was kind of an anomaly, actually, because before this mass media age, you had people, the way that people get their information was word of mouth, and that's the way that it's happening today, is all through, and that's where social media is coming from. You also, a really good component about social media is that people don't want to be sold today. So, you think of like the 80s, the 90s, and that was a very like salesy kind of time. And that has totally changed in the social media economy. Most people want to be able to do the research for themselves, get the best information, and then make their decisions based off of the information that they get. And so that's really something that golf courses need to understand is that you really have to pull people through your messaging as opposed to pushing them. Like one of the big issues that I see with golf course social media pages is that they're constantly trying to sell, and that turns people off. It's like that if you ever go to a networking event and you have that guy with the business cards that's trying to hand out his business cards to every single person there, that person's not doing any business because he's turning people off. And that's what a lot of golf courses are doing with their social media channels, is they're just posting, hey, book tee times here, book tee times here, book tee times here, as opposed to trying to build a community where that community of people are engaging and interacting with each other and more likely to use the course. Yeah, and a couple other things is you're talking about social media. It's giving people a voice today that they didn't have. We talked about Yelp reviews already. That wasn't possible years ago. They couldn't affect the business the way that they can today. And so that's extremely important, and that's something where golf courses need to keep that in mind. And what social media allows is it allows for you to control the message better than if you just let it run on its own. So as an example, one of the things that I did, most people when they leave reviews about something, it's because they're upset. And so what you really have to do is you have to create opportunities where You want them to become loyalty members. You want them to write positive reviews about you. And so this whole customer journey is something that you can really leverage with social media. And so if you're focusing on, and you can create numbers to those specific avenues too. And so you can track everything that's happening through these different stages. You can track how many people you're converting. You can track how many people you're converting for the second time. You can track how many people are becoming loyalty members based off of the efforts that you're doing in the online arena. And so that's really how you can increase profits using social media. Another thing, which I don't, actually most of the people that I'm talking with, they are moving away from the traditional advertising platforms, which is good. One of the things we included on our book was just a comparison between different marketing outlets and how many people you could reach per 1,000 impressions. So with a local magazine, right? So golf magazine, and in Southern California here, the magazine at the time went from San Diego to Santa Barbara, and it cost $1,700, I think, for a half page ad. But per 1,000 impressions, it was about $12. So if you were to put an ad in there, it would cost you $12 to reach 1,000 people. Now, the thing that's good about that is you're reaching people who are golfers. The thing that's bad about that is geographically, they could be if your golf course is in Santa Barbara and they're in San Diego, you're not really hitting your target market. You're hitting golfers that aren't really going to be playing your golf course. Same thing in so newspapers, it was about $4 per 1,000 impressions. The problem with that is it's much more localized, so the local newspaper was there, but you were reaching all sorts of different people. So it wasn't targeted at golfers, it was just targeted at the general population and who even actually goes through and reads the ads on all those pages anyways. Whereas on social media, it was less than $1 per 1,000 impressions. And in addition to that, so the things that are good about that is you're reaching golfers, because through the Facebook advertising, you can target golfers specifically, and then you can also target geographically. So we have a 30-mile radius. This is typically what we advertise. So you're reaching golfers, people who are identifying themselves as golfers within a 30-mile radius of your golf course. And then the other benefit of this is if you have a magazine or you have a newspaper, it's a one-off. If they don't take action right away, that's kind of like wasted advertising. And so with social media is you can engage your prospects, you can engage your customers. So when you do promote and push them, it's not just that one-time connection and that one-time correspondence, and you can continue the conversation. And in marketing, they say you need to have about 12 or 13 touch points before it converts into a sale. And this provides that. That's being social and using social media provides those multiple touch points in one conversation, in one piece of marketing content. And if you're doing that daily, you're reaching thousands and thousands of more people than you would in any other marketing outlet that's out there. Now, one of the things that I like most about social media is that it helps you build a better business. You really get to identify what kind of issues you're facing, what your golfers think about your golf course. You can use it as a focus group, which most people don't even consider. So aside from being a marketing outlet and getting people to play your course, it really does make your business better. And if you're listening to your customers on your social channels, so that's probably the most important thing that I think social media brings that's kind of missed, is those opportunities. One of the things that we talked about in that customer journey that I was talking about earlier is getting advocates, getting people to do great things for your course. Just as an example, in one of our courses, we had somebody who was continually commenting on our social media channels. He was a photographer, but he just loved shooting pictures of the course. So now he's going out to this course. He's got his drone camera. He's got all these footage. So he goes out to this course that we represent, and he's going out there once a week, posting pictures and sharing that with his audience. And then we're also using those pictures and photographs and videos to share with ours, and it's all for free, because we identified him through our social media channels, and now he's out there taking pictures, shooting videos that we're using on all of our content across the channel, on their website, on social media pages, all sorts of other things. At another course, we identified a couple of people who were radio, TV announcers, so they played the course, and one of them is a TV. He does the Clippers. He's an analyst for the Clippers, or an announcer for the Clippers. And then the other one is a radio show host for the Angels. And so these two guys are playing these courses, and so we invited them to come out and they promote on a weekly basis. They're talking about the golf course on their shows. in person to their social media followings. And so this has really added a big boost for the business. And that's something where social media provides that I don't think a lot of people understand. And so that's really something else. And the last thing I would say is that when you talk about return on investment, so what is the return on investment of social media? And there are ways that you can track it. So let me kind of talk a little bit about that. Is when you're using social media, particularly Facebook, is what they've developed and what they've implemented is a pixel. And so what it is, a pixel is you put this code on your website. So it will track how many Facebook users are actually visiting your site, what pages they're visiting, what they're doing while they're logged into their Facebook page. So if they see an ad, if they see a post, you can see if they eventually make their way to that sales page. And you can see where it's coming from. So that's something where it is trackable in that sense. But what I always tell people is it doesn't always tell the full story. Like I mentioned with my social media friends from my Rotary Club and from the Chamber of Commerce, is you have dozens of people coming out to play the course because of the impact and because they're following my social media feed. And that's something that wouldn't be tracked through that avenue because they're following it through mine. But that's because I'm an advocate of the course, and if the social media pages of these golf courses are really promoting those advocates, you can get more people coming to the course. Another example that I can give is when we're talking about return on investment, is that, so there's a quote by this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. He's the biggest guy in the online marketing space today. And what he was talking about was in a book he wrote, he said, well, what is the ROI of your mom? Meaning that for him, his mom really gave him the power, the ability to go out and do what he was meant to do. So she encouraged him, she supported him, she gave him the skills, the skill set. And so it's not something that you can place a tangible ROI on. And that's where social media, and that's why he's talking about social media, is because, like we were talking about earlier, social media has the ability to influence people like it never has before, like nothing in humankind has had before. And so that's really where the power of being social and using social media comes from. I was talking with another guy yesterday and I think this is kind of typical of business in general. There's the ebbs and flows of business. And I think at certain points, we have an entrepreneurial mindset. So an entrepreneurial mindset is I went to a seminar once and they're saying, when you're starting your business, what you want to spend your time on, here's how you want to spend your time. 60% of your time you want to spend on marketing. 30% of your time you want to spend on growing the business or on doing the work of the business. And 10% of your time should be spent on administration. So that's really where we should be spending our time when we're growing and we're doing it. And then when I'm talking with most golf courses, is the marketing budget, even if there is one, is very minimal. And so that's kind of something where it seems to get slashed, the first thing to get slashed, which is one of the reasons why I think golf is struggling as an industry, because the marketing component of it, getting people to play courses, if you're not doing that, somebody else is. And so they're taking golfers because they're being more proactive in marketing the experiences outside of that. And Callaway I interviewed one of the original guys who came from Callaway, and that was their whole emphasis. I mean, that's how it became the business that it became, was because they devoted so much effort and energy into their marketing of those materials that it paid off down the road. And I think golf courses can learn a lesson from that too. So I wanted to share with you some practical examples of things that you can use to promote your golf course and to think a little bit outside of the box. So like I said, most people, when they think of social media, or in the golf industry, when I'm talking with them about it, they're thinking that it's like your bulletin board where you're kind of posting your specials and your flyers. And specials and flyers don't perform well on social media. They don't get people excited about it. What performs well on social media is telling a story, is getting people connected and engaged and interacting with each other. So here are some pieces of macro content that you can use. And these are some of my favorite pieces. So 19th hole stories, obviously, at the 19th hole, everybody has those stories they like to share. So there's an opportunity to share some of those 19th hole stories that have happened at your golf course. I think one of the best things about golf is if you ever go to a golf course that you really enjoy playing or that you really love, you go out there and everything kind of sparks a memory. So you get that memory that comes in, and these 19-hole stories help reinforce that. And so when you want to create memories, you kind of go to the places that you have fond memories from. You want to do membership programs. You can talk about your membership programs. If you had somebody had a hole-in-one at your course, we did one where I was sitting in one of my clients, I was going there from a regular meeting, and people would come in because the guy had a hole-in-one. So I took a picture with him and his group. I kind of interviewed them, talked about, you know, how they got involved playing the course, and then they had the hole-in-one. So then this guy who played there every Thursday, so he went in, and so people recognized him from that. And so he was getting all these accolades. You know, everybody sees it with the course and say, hey, congratulations on your hole-in-one. Whereas then I went to another course and I was playing there. This was not the course that we represent, but I went and played, and my friend got a hole-in-one. So he invited me to play in this golf tournament. He gets a hole-in-one. We're super excited. I go in the pro shop. I say, hey, do you anything for a hole-in-one? And they're like, well, you can fill out this form and they'll send you a plaque or something. I mean, I don't know. He said something like that, which was missing out on a very huge opportunity to drive business to their course. So just think of that. And also, not only that, but that one person who got the hole-in-one, like, it's so much cooler if you have that accolade and that recognition from the course you get your hole-in-one at. And if you do that, you could turn that golfer into a customer for life, and he could be bringing his 4 buddies to play with him for the rest of his life because he wants to go back to the course that he got his hole-in-one at. So for me, that was a huge missed opportunity for that course. So if you have a hole-in-one at your course, make sure you take pictures of that. Make sure you take videos. Make sure you share that with your social media following. You can do tips and lessons. I see a lot of people doing that well. I actually while I was on the phone, I kind of saw a text message from a good friend of mine, Mark Kegoin at Sand Canyon. So I think he's on here. So he gives tips and lessons through his social media channel pages. And that's something where when people come to his course, now they recognize him. Now they know to come and talk to him. And he's a very good guy, very strong on the social side of things. And so that gives him a good opportunity to get more lessons, get more people coming to him. I'm sure he can speak to that a lot more than I can. You can talk about what it's like to become a pro. Every golf course has somebody who's trying to become a professional. This would be a good opportunity to talk about that. And the people that work on the golf course, what does it take to get there? You do a golfer spotlight. One of the things that we did, which was a lot of fun, which was, I call it Meet This Foursome, where we kind of run a contest where we have these 3 people come out and play the course. We take a lot of social media pictures and followings, but then we talk about them and why they decided to play this course and their experience playing the course. And that's something that you can use as information to share with others as well. And the more you can get people to know each other at your course, the more likely it is that they're going to come. Like, you think of Cheers, you know, you go to places, and you probably all experience this too. The places you continually find yourselves going to are the places where you're making memories and you're connected with the people that are there. And so that's really what you want to try to drive. You want to drive that communal experience. And then you can have people come in and do guest posts. You can also do tournament promotions. Here's types of micro content. These are things that you could post on your social media pages. So you could post, I mean, these are all pretty self-explanatory, but I will say a few things. Questions are always really good to use on your social media channels. So the Facebook algorithms, what they've done, and these are all social media channels, they all focus on engagement because they know how important that is into driving actual sales goals. So Facebook, they've figured that out, and that's why engagement is so important on Facebook. So you want to ask questions so that will trigger Facebook's senses, this algorithm, to make your post show up more often. If people are clicking the like, comment, or share button, it means that your post is going to get out to more people for less cost. So that's really what you want to try to focus on, is driving engagement, asking questions, getting people involved and connected on that. Also, you want to be very visual. Most golf courses that I follow, they do that, although some of them are posting the flyers, which is not the type of visual I'm talking about. The type of visual I'm talking about is taking organic photos at your golf course. So taking pictures of what's happening at your course. And another thing is, I think people want to, the thing people like about social is it's not like the best of the best in terms of photography or video. What it's showing is what is actually at the golf course. So I have a couple of golf courses who really want to present their courses, you know, the top notch that it like the best it's ever been, and the photographs taken by professional photographers. And the reason why that's not so much a good thing to do on social media is because what people want to know is they want to know, what is it like at your golf course today? What is it like at your golf course? If I look at this picture, what is the experience going to be like when I get there? And if it's a misrepresentation of that, that's when you drive people away. So if, for example, your course is this lush green, and then they get there and it's this dry, you know, dry brown grass, that experience is going to be killed for that golfer, and because they're expecting one thing and you're not meeting their expectations. Whereas if the expectation is that this is what the course looks like because it's winter and that's just the way it is, then that's a totally different scenario, because you're not upsetting people who think that it's one way, getting there and realizing it's another way. And that's really where you drive people away from your course. Another thing that all social media channels are going towards is they're going towards videos. So Facebook even said, I think it was by like 2019, 2020, that they want to have their platform purely video content. And so that means that you really need to have a video strategy moving forward on your social media pages. So think about using videos whenever you get a chance, because Facebook is going to show up videos more often than it will show up pictures or text content. So here's some ways that you can get your team involved doing social media at your course. Is you can have your marketing department, obviously, can be the ones that's kind of guiding the ship and guiding the process on this. You can have, it's always good to hear from the general manager or the people who are in charge of the course every so often on the social media pages. It's about, you know, updates, things that are going on in the grander scheme of things at the golf course. Another thing which we've seen play really, really well is the turf management. So like, let's say every Monday or Tuesday, you have your superintendent come on and post something about, you know, renovations they're making at your course, or some kind of trouble area that they're trying to fix. Those are things where people love that kind of stuff. And so if you can get your superintendent involved in your social strategy, that's going to be really good. One of the courses we work with, they just hired a new superintendent. He's very active on Twitter, giving the updates, and that really helps us on the Facebook side, because we can pull his pictures and the things that he's updating his golfers on through Twitter, and we can share that on our Facebook pages. So it's a really good thing to do. You can have your pro shop staff, obviously, by giving lessons and things like that. Tournament group staff, whenever you have a big tournament in your course, it would be great for the tournament coordinator, whoever you have there, taking pictures and sharing those pictures with your audience. The same thing with weddings and banquets. You can do the same thing there. Anytime you have a wedding and a banquet, that's an opportunity for social posting. When you're talking about bringing in membership, you know, you're adding a new member, that's something where you can introduce that new member through your social media pages, and if they're open to that. So those are, and then lastly, you can have people out on the golf course, your outside services staff, taking pictures of the golf course and doing it. So you can create a team that does that. The one thing you want to make sure is the people have are posting, you know, positive, constructive posts and using language properly. Another chapter, so my book, The Social Golf Course, I actually co-wrote it with John Hakeem from greenskeeper.org. And so he's the one that kind of led the drive on this reputation management chapter in our book. And it's extremely important for golf courses to manage their reputations online. And typically speaking, most don't have a proactive strategy to get positive reviews and recommendations of their course. And that's really something you need to think about as a golf course, is asking people to leave reviews. In my experience working with businesses, is if you ask people to leave reviews, 9 out of 10 people will leave a positive review. If you don't ask, then the only people that are going to leave reviews are negative ones. And when I say if you ask people to leave reviews, you're not going to get 9 out of 10 people to actually leave a review. You'll probably get 1 out of 10, but the 9 out of 10 of those people who do leave those reviews will be positive ones. So most people have good experiences at courses. And so if you get in the habit of asking your customers to leave recommendations, leave reviews on the sites that people are getting their information from, you're going to be much better off than those who don't. Another thing you want to think about when it comes to reputation is most people get really upset at negative reviews that are left on social media pages. And it's understandable, right? You see a negative review or recommendation of your course, and that's something that I know as a business owner, that's something that I focus on. It's something that, but the reality of it is that it provides perspective. Not everybody is going to like your golf experience. Not everybody is going to like the way it is. You know, I know that some of the courses we work with, there's a big, like, they're pricey courses. And so you'll have people that complain about the price. But those aren't your customers anyways. And so the fact that they leave that, when somebody who is a customer goes and reads that, they're going to say, yeah, well, for that person, this doesn't make sense, but price isn't as much of an issue for me as it is for that person. So therefore, they can take that into consideration. And so don't focus your energy on the negative reviews. Think about the positive reviews as well. Another thing that John really advocates, and that I advocate too, is following up with people who do leave reviews, especially positive ones. John says that on his site, so he can, he views how many people, like the types of reviews that people are checking out. He says that people on his website are, I can't remember, like 3 or 4 times more likely to look at positive reviews than they are to look at negative reviews. And so what you really want to do is you want to encourage that behavior. You want to encourage people to leave positive reviews and have that good experience. And so if somebody says something nice about your golf course, it's so important to reach out to them and say thank you and share your appreciation. You don't have to do anything for them other than saying that you saw it, you recognize it, you appreciate it. And that's going to help make your golf course a lot better in the online world and get more traction there. And what you'll do in doing that too is you'll be creating an advocate for a long time to come. So here's some really quick examples of ways that we've leveraged social media to get some feedback. So here's an example on, we have a course, here's a golfer gets a hole-in-one. The picture shows up a little bit differently when you're actually on the Facebook page, but this is the post that we use. And you can see there down below at the bottom, it talks about you have 123 people that have clicked the like button. You have these people that have commented on it saying congratulations. Well, what we're doing is we're tying it in there. So this is what a golf course post should look like. This is here showing what's actually happening at the golf course during that particular day. The one on the right is an example of what not to do. And this is by one of the prominent social media platforms that puts us out in golf. And this was something they put on this flyer. Check out our excellent weekend rates. That's not going to drive engagement. And you can see that by the one click, that one like button click there. So don't be posting flyers like these. Don't be posting sales. If you do have a sales, you can weave it into something like this. So hey, so what I would add on the left here is you say, here's Don Upton who got his hole-in-one. Want your chance on a hole-in-one? Go here to book a tee time. And that's going to be way better. That's going to perform way better than this post on the right. So the post on the right is really just a waste of time, and it's making you look unprofessional. It's making you look, it's not helping your cause. Here's an example of one of our client courses, which worked out really well in terms of engagement. So they have the overseating. They talk about booking a tee time. And so you get a chance to see the course. You see all the reactions and engagement on the right-hand side. Another good success story we have at Indian Wells was the reason why they brought us on at Indian Wells in the first place was because of their golf board program. So they had just gotten a golf board, and the only way that they marketed the golf board was through social media. And so we had originally they had 4 golf boards. So we did the marketing for them through social media for the first season. They sold out, from my understanding, they sold out the golf boards in that season, and so they doubled their fleet for this second season. And so that's really an example where you talk about the ROI. Is a golf board is a really easy thing to sell because it is a social in nature, and so that's something that a success story for us. Here's another example, and this is a recent post we had at Arroyo Trabuco Golf Club. Their head golf professional, which I'm sure many of you know, is Michael Block. So Michael, he made he got to play in the Farmers Insurance Open, and so we're down there shooting some video of him out on the course, playing some rounds, and And so you can see that because he's the head professional at this course, I mean, you have a lot more engagement, you have a lot more people interacted in it, you have a lot more people sharing the content. So those are the types of things you really want to highlight, is when there's an experience that people know of your course and sharing that with others. And here's another one that we did at one of my client courses was, and this was something that would not have been picked up had it not been for our company, was John Powell. He's also a PGA member. He played an SCPGA event, and he shot 22 shots under his age. And so he did that, and he got a phone call from somebody saying, "Hey, I heard you shot 22 strokes under your age. Did you know that's the world record?" And he said, "Oh, wow, that's amazing." So what I did was I shot this video. So I talked with them. Actually, I saw it from another social media post from a guy that I follow, Andy Gaither, who you probably also know. Many of you may also know. And I saw his post congratulating John. So when I ran into him, I asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, yeah. So anyways, I shot this video of him. It got picked up by 5 or 6 local and international magazines. And his wife actually called me the other day because she wanted to help me get him in the Guinness Book of World Records. So I'm kind of helping him fill out the forms for that. But the coolest thing about this, and when you talk about ROI, I think this is a perfect example of this story. So John, I visited the course after I did this video, and he came up to me in tears just about how happy he was that this had gotten out there. And every person at the course was, and so we shared it on their emails, we sent it on their Facebook page. Every person at the course was coming up to him and talking to him. So for the rest of the time that people are visiting Lost Ross, they're going to see John Powell and recognize that. And it's that thing that brings people to your course. It's telling that story that make people want to come. So as you see here, we have 78 shares. That thing went viral. Was one of our big success stories of the year. Another success story we had was promoting weddings at Riverwalk Golf Club, which we're actually creating a package around. So this was an example of, we did a post, we had massive amounts of response and engagement. It went out to like 70,000 views, I think the video had. And then you have all these comments on the right-hand side, which are the comments on the right-hand side. This is your lead. These are the people that are commenting, saying, like this one here, Griselle Duran, she's telling her friend to look. That means her friend's getting married. So there's a lead. You have people that are saying beautiful venues, and you also have people that have experienced that experience before, and they're telling other people how great that experience was. So this gal here, Mary Salvado, is saying that our daughter was married there. It was amazing. We loved it so much. So here's a couple things that I wanted to share before we end. Was I wanted to give away a free copy of the book, The Social Golf Course. So if you haven't got one yet, do me a favor, email me, zeb@19th-hole-media, and I'll make sure that you get a copy of the book. Another thing I really I would love we're implementing a lot of the new programs in our business. 2018, I have a big goals for the year. Really want to help golf courses, and one of the big things that I need is I would love is to sit down and chat with you. Just to get your sense, your feelings, your thoughts on social media, how we can do it more effectively, and what your needs really are when it comes to social media. I think when I first started working with golf courses, the needs, there wasn't a recognition that we needed it. It was something that their target golfers don't use. I think now most golf courses realize they need to do it, but they don't know how to do it effectively. And so that's really where I want to come in and sit down and hopefully work out a strategy. So I'm offering a free social strategy assessment, just to sit down and chat and see how I can help you at your golf course, or give you ideas on how I can help you do it better. So with that, I want to thank you for the opportunity to chat with all of you. I want to thank John for giving me the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank you. John, are you there?
Mr. Welborn, thank you very much, sir. That was phenomenal. I do have some questions that have come in during the course of the presentation. What are the 9 stages of a customer's journey?
Okay, so I have the sheet on here, and it's not in front of me, but let's say it starts with reach. Starts with reach, engagement, subscribers, convert again, develop loyalty. So develop loyalty members. You want to have people that are willing to give you positive reviews and recommendations, and you want to develop advocates. You want people to promote your your business or your avenue as an advocate, meaning that it's not a paid employee, it's somebody who just promotes out of because they love your experience and your business so much. And then there's one more in there, but I can't remember what it is.
Thank you, Zeb. And how would you rank the available SM platforms in order of importance and effectiveness?
Well, so it's going to change. Like, this is one of the challenges in social media marketing, is that because we're all learning at such a rapid pace, and because there's all these new influx of things, it's going to be changing, and the landscape is going to be changing drastically, which is really why you need to have a professional there to at least assist in the strategy and the movement of this, because it's going to change. So, like, as an example, Facebook. When I wrote the book 4 or 5 years ago, is you could reach a whole lot more people. For, I mentioned that you can do, it was like less than $1 that you would reach 1,000 people for. Well, Facebook is now limiting your reach, the business, especially from businesses, because what they don't want is they don't want their platform to become just a purely sales platform. So it makes total sense. So the way that they get around that through competition is that they make these businesses pay money, and they make them pay them through those boosted posts and through Facebook advertising. And so the companies that do that are really getting a head up against their competition, because their competition aren't doing that. And so it gives them that leg up. But what you'll find is that through Facebook, your reach is going to get less and less over time, and that's just the way that it's going to happen unless you have a really good, strong social strategy. So for now, I always say Facebook is the #1 thing, because you have more than 90% of the population is using Facebook, and so you're reaching people there. Another good reason with Facebook is that you can highly target people. So the reason why, like Facebook advertising, you can target people who play golf, who live within 30 miles of your course, and that's a very easy way to target those people. And so that's one thing. So that's #1. I would say Facebook #1 still. Over time, it might change. Instagram is #2, mostly because golf is a very visual platform, and also you have a lot of the golf influencers are using Instagram to promote that as well. So you can get some good feedback if you have an Instagram presence. So I would definitely start with Facebook, and #2 is Instagram. And then you want to have a video strategy as well. And that could be on both. I mean, you can use that on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So those are the 3 things that I would suggest.
Thank you, Zeb. And do you use bots on Instagram?
When you say bots, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Do you mean like through the messaging bots, or?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I don't use messaging. So one of the things for me about social, and this is something that I learned early on, was I wanted to like automate everything. And when I started automating everything, what it's tantamount is tantamount to spam. So when you automate things, that's typically what it is. Now, there are a big push recently. There's automated responses, which is really good as a way to make sure that you're taking care of your customers in a timely manner. Like, not all of us want to be glued to our phone 24/7. So it's really good to have kind of an away message or a holding message, and just let them know that you got the message and that you will respond in X number of hours. So those are really good things to use. But if you're using bots in terms of trying to automate things, is the reason why it's called social media is because you need to be social. You need to engage and interact with people. And if you're using bots to do that, you're not reaping the benefit. You're not doing social media the right way. You're just you're like sending messages that people don't want. And so what people want is they want to be able to engage with their businesses, the people they work with, get questions answered, that kind of thing.
And final question, Zeb, have you seen employees that have left their clubs and have used social media to bash their former employers?
I actually have not seen that. One of the things that I feel like I have a big concern of a lot of people in every business, especially when social media first came out, was that negative messaging, getting somebody to leave negative messages. And honestly, through my experience, there's really a handful of things where people have posted negative posts. For the most part, I'd say 98% of everything that's posted on all the social medias we manage is positive. And on those rare exceptions where there's negative, there are things that you can do to make sure that it doesn't show up to your audience, your intended audience. So like if somebody leaves a comment on your post, you can ban those people from your page. You can, if you don't want to ban them from your page entirely, you can hide their posts so that only them and their friends will see what they posted, but nobody else who's visiting your page will see it. So there's a lot of ways to get around that kind of negative contents. So I haven't seen that personally, but there are ways to deal with it if something like that comes up, so it's not drastically detrimental to your business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Welborn. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Zeb Welborn, author of The Social Golf Course, and presenting on the Catalyst webinar for us this morning. Thank you very much for your time, Zeb. Want to remind everybody that, as usual, the Catalyst webinar quiz will go out here shortly, as well as a recording of the presentation that we will upload to the Southern California PGA YouTube page. Please take the quiz that I'm going to send out here shortly. Return it to myself or Sharon Kerfman at pgahq.com. A score of 70% or higher will earn 1 MSR credit for attending today's Catalyst. Want to remind everybody that in 2 weeks, on the February 22nd Catalyst webinar series, we will have the President's Cracker Barrel with SCPGA President Todd Kiefer in the morning on the cast at 8 a.m. And then later that evening here in the desert at the S at Rancho Mirage, the President's Cracker Barrel with Todd Kiefer that evening. So very excited, a lot going on that day. Once again, Zeb, thank you very much for your time this morning. And everybody, thank you very much for attending the Catalyst. Have a great day.
Thank you, John. Thank you, guys.